Hello, I'm Jody Wolf. You're watching Expoz on March 1, 2017. It's 12:07 a.m. Birmingham. Topic: something you should know. And I'm not on my usual Expoz, but yet again I am, because I'm exposing something that's been covered up for a long time. And this is probably going to be my fifth and out of 1,400 plus blogs that I've done, but this one is important, and I think you should know, especially if you have someone in your family or a friend that needs to know this information. I'm going to start with, I have two friends and one's family. Both just quickly just ran out of energy, out of breath. I had one that she would walk from her house to her car, and I'm talking about less than 30 feet because she's parked in her carport and she's exhausted. And the other one, always a hard worker, up on a ladder, takes 2 weeks to trim his hedges because he's so meticulous. If one stem is an inch longer than the other, he'll go and make it right. Same with his grass, his weed eating. Everything's got to be perfect. Well, I'm not that way. I mean, mine is close enough. I can't reach over 10 feet, so I don't worry about that grows higher than 10 feet. And I have to get on an 8-foot ladder to do that. But I'm off subject. What I am on is, these people can no longer do these things. I mean, they went from wide open to zero in 90 days. Let me tell you what I have, and let me tell you what the cure is, and let me tell you what the doctors tell them the cure is. Cancer. I know one of them has a small cancerous spot on her liver, but it caused her lungs to fill up with fluids, and she's been 4 times to have it drained. In fact, I think she's there right now, because I tried to call her at 10:30, didn't get an answer. That meant that she's not home. And the other, I was on the phone with him for a couple hours, and he's my brother. And he told me 3 weeks ago his lung capacity was down to 70%, and doctor said he should be in the 75 to 85% range. And today he's down to between 30 and 40%, and no one knows why. He's exhausted. It scares me because I lost a brother when he was 36 years old, and it was hypertension. Lungs glaze over on the inside, and it's like you're trying to jog faster or trot and breathing through a straw. That's how it feels. So let me move on. Cancer cure, we have it. We also have cure for heart disease. We have a cure for common cold, but they won't let you have it. J.P. Morgan killed the original cancer cure. The original guy was a Dr. Royal Rife in 1932, Sacramento, California. He found a cure for cancer. It is simply, when you go through the frequencies of an old, it'd be better if you could go back to FM when there were no stations. It's all squelch, but a station here and a station there. In that squelch, he found the frequency that killed cancer. When he hit something as a high peak, you could barely hear a high tone. That was a frequency. He's offline, but yet it was a frequency, the sound that would kill cancer in as quick as 2 seconds. He took 16 terminally ill people out of a Sacramento hospital that were put in the death wing. He kept them a total of 70 days. For the bulk of them, 12 of them walked out fully cured, 100% cured. And then 2 weeks later, the rest of them walked out 100% cured of cancer. And they all lived to ripe old age. So they had a big get together, big to do, 50 newspapers, biggest newspapers across the country, had 100 plus doctors, had an auditorium set up, had film set up, had everything he had produced and found, and he had 10,000 frequencies titled and logged and named, and he had his own glycerin filled microscope so they could watch the cancer die. It was a firestorm across this country. There's a cure for cancer and even the common cold. But a man stepped up and said, "You fools," talking about the doctors, "you fools, you're all going to go broke. If this man cures everything, then why are you needed?" So then they did the same thing to they did Roswell. They denied it. They said it was a trick, and they shut him down, and they even burned his house and stole his equipment, or rather destroyed his equipment. But Royal Rife wasn't an idiot. He had a second set stored somewhere else in a good location. So there are a total of 6 of them out there. And you can still get a hold of it through your computer, the frequencies. I want to tell you that. Number 2, DCA is a cancer cure. It's a white powder. It is an acid. It is very cheap, and you can buy a tube this big of it. And I bought it for $50. I think it's now probably $60 or $70, and you have to order it from Canada. You go to Glenn Beck. We have a cancer cure. It is DCA YouTube, and you will see him on CNN talking to this researcher in Canada that found this miraculous, simple, easy cure for cancer. It's a type of acid, but it's not even enough to give you heartburn. But it kills cancer, all forms of cancer. But yet they went after him. The pharmaceutical companies here in the United States said, by the time we spend millions, hundreds of millions in testing it, then there's not enough for us to make money, so we opt out. But you can still buy it. You can still go on the internet and buy it from a Canadian company, and you can still buy it cheaply. It is a cancer cure. I wanted to tell you that. A highly decorated police officer in the city of New York, his daughter died, twin daughters, and I think they were 7, died because one doctor said, "Oh, no, you got to have this." And they'd radiate her brain. And then they kept coming up with a name. Look, you need to go to Dr. BURZYNSKI, BURZYNSKI. He was in Dallas, Texas. Back in 1996, he has a cure for cancer. Brain tumors, stem cell cancer, it doesn't matter. He has the cure. And it is painless, no after effects, and it works. This policeman trusted this doctor, and it came back. And then he was afraid to go back to him, so he went the conventional way. He went through the radiation and all this, and that burned his daughter's brain up, and it literally fell apart, and she died. BURZYNSKI could have saved her. Another woman went to him. There's a lot of people on here that saying, I was cured, I was cured, I was cured. Everything else failed. And they were. So you go back and look at that name, Dr. BURZYNSKI in Dallas. He has a cure for cancer, guys. And again, Royal Rife Frequencies, YouTube him. And then DCA, Glenn Beck, CNN, a cure for cancer, but you can't have it. There's 3 right there. All 3 of them works. And I'm telling you this story because when that policeman told the story about his daughter, I reacted the way I did when I lost my wife. They burned my wife up on the inside. Her shoulders were 3rd-degree burns. They never healed. Her neck. Inside, from here down, was black. Her esophagus was burned like a paper Chinese finger trick where you push your fingers in and you can't get them out. Like you lay it there and you burn it with a match until it's nothing but ashes. You touch it hard enough, it falls apart. My wife's esophagus fell apart in her throat. 12 months of torture she went through. And the worst thing I could have done in the world was not sue. And I didn't sue. I gave it to a lawyer. But the lawyer held it too long. And then a friend of mine called me that worked with the lawyer. She said, Jody, you better get down here and get this fast. They can't do anything. I said, why? She said, because they're the lawyers for the hospital that killed your wife. And when I got it back, 2 weeks had lapsed. 2 years was up. I'm dead in the water. Guys, don't do that. Don't go through that. I've given you the 3 cures, and that's not all. There's a lot more. But don't do what I did. This little girl, her urine, the parents had put on gloves and tape around her so she could use the bathroom because her urine burned the skin off of her. Her brain was like burned tissue paper, a wad of it stacked in her head. It was black. That's what radiation will do for you. My wife was supposed to get 7 to 8 treatments, and she got 35. One doctor started, he got 5, went on a 30-day vacation for Christmas holidays. Next doctor come in and continues to give her 30, kept saying, I still see the cancer, I still see the cancer. He lied to me, he never saw it, it was gone. When we had an autopsy done afterward, the doctor said, the guy that did the pathologist said, Mr. Wolf, I'm sorry to tell you this. He said, but your wife did not have cancer. It was gone. The doctor that operated took it all out, and it did not come back. And I said, was the radiation needed? He said, no, sir. I knew this man. He told me the truth straight up. Keep in mind, I was a cop for the city of Mountain Brook. This man lived in the city of Mountain Brook. I carried him to work on snow days. So he and I were friends, and he didn't lie to me, and he didn't charge me for the full autopsy. Don't let that happen to you. Jody Wolf.